Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, change just doesn't happen? You start a new habit, a new routine, a new goal, and a week later, you're back to square one. Here's the thing. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't come from giant leaps or sudden bursts of motivation. It comes from something much smaller, something almost invisible. It's called the 1% rule. Getting just 1% better every single day. Now 1% sounds tiny, almost meaningless. You might think, what difference can such a small change make? But here's the magic. Small improvements compound over time. One extra push-up a day, one page of a book, one small tweak in your work process. Individually, they're tiny, but repeated consistently, they multiply into massive growth. Think of it like saving money. If you save just a few rupees every day, it doesn't feel like much. But over months and years, it grows into something substantial. That's exactly how habits work. They are the building blocks of your life. 1% better today builds the foundation for 1% better tomorrow. And in a year, you won't just be better. You'll be unrecognizably transformed. The core concept is simple. Small, consistent actions beat occasional, massive efforts every time. You don't need to overhaul your life in a day. You just need to start. Pick one tiny thing you can improve today. No matter how small. Do it tomorrow. Do it the next day. And slowly, imperceptibly, you will become the person you've always wanted to be. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being 1% better than yesterday, every single day. Here's where things get really interesting. The power of compound growth. Most people think success happens in big, sudden moments. Winning a championship, landing a dream job, or getting a huge promotion. But in reality, success is almost always the result of tiny actions stacked over time. Think about it like this. Improving just 1% every day doesn't feel like much. 1% here, 1% there. It seems almost invisible. But if you stick with it, by the end of the year, that 1% compounds into something huge. To put it in numbers, 1% better daily for 365 days makes you almost 37 times better than when you started. And on the flip side, 1% worse each day will shrink you to almost nothing. It's the same principle that makes money grow in a savings account. The longer you leave it untouched, the more the interest multiplies. And suddenly, what started as pennies becomes thousands. Your habits work exactly the same way. Every small improvement is an investment in your future self. Here's another way to see it. Imagine climbing a mountain, one small step at a time. Every step feels minor. Some days, it feels like you aren't moving at all. But keep going, keep stepping, and eventually, you reach the summit, far higher than you imagined possible. Compound growth is unseen at first, and that's what makes it tricky. You might not notice the difference day to day, but over months and years, the effect is exponential. The key is patience, consistency, and trusting the process. So remember, small actions matter more than big intentions. 1% improvement today, repeated tomorrow and the next day, is what separates ordinary people from extraordinary ones. It's not magic, it's simple math, working quietly in your favor if you let it. Now that we understand the power of small improvements and compounding, let's talk about what actually drives that 1% growth every day. Habits. Habits are the engine of improvement. They are the invisible structures that determine whether you move forward or stay stuck. Think about it. Most of your day is automatic. Brushing your teeth, making coffee, scrolling your phone. These are habits you do without thinking. What if you could direct that same autopilot energy toward growth and progress? Here's the key. Habits are more powerful than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel inspired. Other days you don't. But habits don't rely on fleeting feelings. Once a habit is formed, it runs quietly in the background, building your future self step by step. To harness this, start small. Ridiculously small. Instead of saying, I want to exercise for an hour every day, say, I'll do 5 push-ups. Instead of committing to read a whole book, say, I'll read 1 page. Tiny actions like these, repeated consistently, compound into massive results over time. Another secret, use the cue, routine, reward loop. Identify a trigger, something that happens naturally in your day, and attach a small habit to it. For example, After brushing your teeth, cue, meditate for 1 minute, routine, and enjoy the calm feeling afterward. Reward. Over time, this becomes automatic. You no longer need to convince yourself. The habit does the work for you. Environment also plays a huge role. Make good habits easy and visible, and make bad habits inconvenient. Want to read more? Keep a book on your bedside table. Want to eat healthier? Keep fruits on the counter and hide junk food. The takeaway: your habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your results. Focus on small, consistent habits, and the 1% improvements will take care of themselves. Your future self will thank you for the invisible work you do today. Small wins also affect your mindset. They shift your focus from instant results to process-oriented thinking. Instead of asking, "Did I achieve my goal today?" you start asking, "Did I take a step forward?" This subtle change makes growth less intimidating and keeps you consistent over time. Another benefit of small wins is confidence. Each tiny success tells your brain, "I can do this." Over weeks and months, these small victories accumulate, and suddenly, you have the self-belief to tackle bigger challenges. Here's the key takeaway: motivation alone isn't enough. Motivation comes and goes, but small wins, they build lasting momentum that doesn't rely on how you feel today. Your daily improvements compound into habits. Habits compound into skills, and skills compound into transformation. So the psychology of small wins is simple but powerful. Celebrate the tiny victories. Focus on small, consistent actions instead of massive leaps. Build confidence and momentum, one step at a time. Remember, progress might feel invisible at first, but like planting seeds, the growth is happening underground. And one day when you look back, you'll realize that all those tiny wins added up to something extraordinary. So far, we've talked about small wins, habits, and compounding. Now let's dive into something even more powerful: identity-based growth. Most people focus on outcomes. They say, "I want to lose 10 kilos, or I want to read 20 books this year." But here's the problem. Outcomes are temporary. Motivation fades. Life happens. And when you fail to hit a goal, you feel like a failure. Identity-based growth flips the script. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, it focuses on who you want to become. For example, instead of saying, "I want to read a book," say, "I am a reader." Instead of saying, "I want to exercise," say, "I am someone who values health." This small shift changes everything. Your habits stop being chores and start being part of your identity. When your actions align with who you believe you are, they become automatic. You don't rely on motivation. Your identity does the work. Let's say you identify as a writer. You're more likely to write every day even when you don't feel inspired. If you identify as a healthy person, you'll make better food choices and exercise consistently. Identity creates consistency, and consistency creates results. This is why small daily improvements matter so much. They are evidence of the person you are becoming. Every small action reinforces your identity. Every tiny win tells your brain, "Yes, this is who I am." The core idea: focus on becoming the type of person who naturally achieves your goals. Outcomes may change, circumstances may change, but your identity is the foundation that keeps you growing. So, don't just chase goals. Become the person who naturally reaches them. Start building your identity through 1% improvements every day. Over time, this will transform not just what you achieve, but who you truly are. So now that we understand the power of small wins, habits, and identity, let's get practical. How do you actually apply the 1% rule in your life? Step 1. Start ridiculously small. Don't try to overhaul your life overnight. Instead, pick one tiny action that's so easy you can't say no. For example, if your goal is to get fit, start with 5 push-ups a day. If you want to read more, start with 1 page per day. The key is to begin. Consistency beats intensity every time. Step 2. Use habit stacking. Attach a new habit to something you already do naturally. After brushing your teeth, meditate for 1 minute. After your morning coffee, write down your top goal for the day. By linking new behaviors to existing routines, you reduce friction and make habits automatic. Step 3. Track your progress, not perfection. Don't obsess over doing everything perfectly. Missing a day doesn't erase your growth. Quitting does. Use a simple journal, calendar, or habit tracking app. Seeing small streaks or daily wins visually reinforces your commitment and keeps your momentum going. Step 4. Design your environment for success. Your surroundings have a huge impact on your habits. Keep healthy foods visible, hide distractions, and place tools for your goals where you'll see them. If you want to read more, put books on your nightstand. If you want to exercise, keep your workout clothes in plain sight. Step 5. Focus on identity, not outcome. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? Every small habit should reinforce that identity. Instead of thinking, I want to read 20 books this year, think, I am a reader. Instead of, I want to run a marathon, think, I am a runner. Your identity will drive consistency far more than willpower ever can. Step 6. Be patient and trust the process. Growth is invisible at first. Don't expect overnight results. The 1% rule works like compounding interest. Small actions multiplied over time create extraordinary results. Remember, the journey is the goal. Start today, start small, and let your 1% improvements build into lasting transformation. Before you dive into the 1% rule, it's important to know the common mistakes that can sabotage your progress. Mistake 1. Trying to change everything at once. Many people get inspired and set 10 new goals simultaneously. The result? Burnout, frustration, and giving up. Remember, small improvements are sustainable. Massive overhauls are not. Mistake 2. Expecting instant results. The 1% rule is invisible at first. You might not notice any difference in days or even weeks. Impatience leads to quitting, but growth compounds slowly and steadily. Trust the process. Mistake 3. The all-or-nothing mindset. Missed one day? Don't think you failed completely. Consistency is about persistence, not perfection. One bad day doesn't undo months of effort. Mistake 4. Comparing yourself to others. Your journey is unique. Comparing your day 1 to someone else's day 100 only creates frustration. Focus on being 1% better than you were yesterday. Avoid these traps and you'll set yourself up for long-term success. The 1% rule isn't about intensity or perfection. It's about small, smart, consistent actions that compound over time. Now that we've covered the theory, let's see the 1% rule in action. Real-world examples make it crystal clear why small, consistent improvements work. Take the British cycling team. Before 2003, they were underperformers, no major wins, low morale, and minimal recognition. Then a new coach introduced a radical idea: improve everything by 1%. From bike seats to tire pressure, from nutrition to training schedules, every detail was optimized. The result? Within a few years, the team went from mediocrity to dominating the Olympics, winning multiple gold medals and breaking world records. No single massive change caused this success. It was hundreds of tiny improvements, compounded over time. Another example comes from the world of personal growth. Imagine a student who wants to improve in math. Instead of cramming for hours once a week, they solve one problem a day, gradually increasing difficulty. Over months, they master concepts that once felt impossible. Small daily progress builds both skill and confidence. Even ordinary people see this principle in action. A writer who writes just 200 words daily may not finish a book in a week, but in a year, they have a full manuscript. Someone learning a new language who practices 5 new words a day becomes conversational after months. The common thread in all these examples is simple. Tiny, consistent actions lead to extraordinary results. The 1% rule doesn't require talent, luck, or time. It requires patience, focus, and the willingness to take small steps every day. The takeaway? You don't need to make huge leaps. You don't need instant results. All you need is to start small, stay consistent, and trust the process. Over time, The 1% improvements you make daily will transform your skills, your habits, and your life. By now you might be wondering, if I'm only improving 1% a day, will it really make a difference? The answer is a resounding yes. But it requires a long-term mindset. Growth doesn't happen in days, weeks, or even months. It happens over years of consistent effort, quietly compounding in ways that are almost invisible at first. This is why patience is essential. You won't see immediate results, and that's perfectly normal. The small wins are happening beneath the surface, building momentum, shaping habits, and reinforcing your identity. Consistency is the next key. Doing a little every day, even when you don't feel like it, is what separates people who succeed from those who give up. It's not about doing everything perfectly, it's about showing up, day after day. Miss a day? No problem. Miss 2 days in a row? Keep going. Persistence beats perfection. Persistence also trains your mindset. When challenges arise, and they will, sticking to your small daily improvements proves that you are capable, disciplined, and resilient. Over time, these tiny actions compound into skills, confidence, and achievements far beyond what you imagined possible. Here's the truth. The 1% rule is simple but not always easy. It asks you to trust the process, to focus on progress rather than perfection, and to embrace patience over instant gratification. But if you stick with it, if you persist even when results feel invisible, your life will transform. Remember, small daily actions, plus consistency, plus patience, extraordinary long-term growth. The person you become in a year won't just be a little better. They'll be fundamentally different, stronger, and capable of achieving more than you ever thought possible. So let's recap. The power of getting 1% better every day isn't about massive overnight changes. It's about small, consistent improvements, habits that compound, and the mindset of focusing on who you want to become, rather than just what you want to achieve. It's about celebrating tiny wins, being patient, and trusting that your consistent effort, no matter how small, will create extraordinary results over time. The real magic happens when you combine habits, identity, and persistence. Each day you improve even slightly. You reinforce your identity, build confidence, and create momentum that propels you forward, often in ways you don't notice at first. And over months and years, these tiny improvements transform your skills, your mindset, and your life. Here's my challenge to you. Pick one tiny action you can do today that moves you 1% closer to the person you want to become. Do it today, do it tomorrow. Keep stacking those small wins. Because the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and the 1% rule shows us how every step truly matters. Comment below what your first 1% action will be. Start now, and let's grow together. One small step at a time.